Hi, Jamie. How you doing?
Hi, I'm so good. It's so great to be here.
I'm so excited. I just can't wait to chat.
I know.
Let me make sure that all my settings are good. Yeah, we are chatting today about not really whether or not homeschooling and life can coexist, because I think we're kind of both sort of on the same page that it can. But I wanted to talk to a working mom whose work I respect, whose livelihood feels natural and seeks to live a slower, more simplified life, and who really sees the value in kind of the holistic form of learning for her kids. And you were the perfect person. You just popped right into my head. So I would love for you to tell us all a little bit about um, what the context of your life is looking like, how old your kids are, where you're living, how you manage homeschooling in this season.
Totally. Well, our lives are really not very conventional at the moment. So, just to give you a little backstory, my partner and I met many years ago, and we were both. I had a company that I could run from anywhere, and I was living in Argentina. And he was living in Canada, but was from Argentina. And we met at a mutual friend's house in Buenos Aires. And we started traveling together. We were the only other person both of us had ever met that wanted to have businesses and be nomadic. So we started just saying yes to everything and traveling and, flying across the world here and there because we could. And then we just thought it was amazing. And then we had kids. And so old habits die hard. And we really love to travel. And our friends are now spread all over the globe because we've lived in so many places. So we now have a few companies that we run together. And I recently started a line of minimalist organic children's wear with my closest friend. So we have a lot going on professionally. We also have two small children, a 1.5-year-old and a 4.5-year-old. And we're based in Europe, but we're still traveling quite a bit, which is really because we want to live a slow life where we have space to really treasure the moments with each other. And we have such grand ambitions, and we think we can do it all while traveling. It's been great for us because it's really forced us to reevaluate on a frequent basis and say, okay, are we living the way we want to be living? Is this what we want? What needs to give? Do we need to lower our ambitions? Do we need more help? Do we need to stay put for a longer time? So that's kind of the current cycle of our lives.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you're continuing to ask those questions, even post kids. I feel like the kids come in the picture and we ask that question once and then we
Right.
stop asking that question. So
Right.
you
And they
found that you
need
reassess.
routine, right? They need rhythm and routine, which is, one thing that is hilarious is lately we have been traveling. So we go through seasons where we'll stay put for several months. We have a little farm in France, and we spent the whole summer there just rooted and in nature, and it was amazing. But this season is a bit more of a travel season for us. And our kids have started this ritual that I find hilarious. Every time we get to a baggage claim, my oldest one's out of the stroller, my youngest one's out of the carrier, and they run around like maniacs chasing each other. And it's the sixth airport that it's happened in, and it's so funny. I mean, they're creating their own rituals within our crazy family.
Oh, that's perfect. I know my son still calls it the merry-go-round, the basket claim. That's
Yeah,
what it is. It's so lovely. Oh,
yeah,
that's fantastic.
yeah. It's really funny.
Wow. So tell me a bit, are you then is the philosophy that sort of works for your family, like let's keep reassessing per season, let's sort of bring, adventure and travel into their schooling. I mean, they're still so young that it's
They are
yeah,
so young, and they
open.
just learn everywhere we go. They learn with everything we do. My oldest is 4.5, and he has such an awareness of cultures. It's amazing. And languages. He speaks English and Spanish, but we've just been to, he's probably been to 20 countries. I haven't counted, but I would guess it's at least 20. But he has such an awareness of the world, such a global mindset already. It's really, really fascinating.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So we actually have started assessing on a monthly basis because the thing that happens for us is inspiration strikes. Like we love creating things and building things, and then we'll commit to things, and then what is temporary, okay, we're going to work extra for a temporary season, then slowly the sum of your days becomes your life, and we'll realize, okay, we're not actually doing the things that matter to us. So what do we need to do at this point? So we're also really known for canceling plans. Like if we are in a space where we're thinking, we just need a few days or a few weeks, or we just need to plant for a minute, like it's whether it's our whole family needs it or just one of us, we have a reputation within our friend and professional circles of being like, sorry, we canceled, change of plans. But that's like a muscle that we've really had to exercise and learn to be able to say, we have to check in with what's right for us. And if that means we thought we could do something and now we can't, then so be it.
Oh, that's so wise. That's so wise. And also, I think the mindset of reassessing each month rather than even, again, it really does kind of take that. I think we all sort of know that balance is a myth, but I think it takes sort of going too hard in one area to realize, oh, I think I need to soften here. I think I need to sort of pause and we got to slow a little bit as a family.
Yeah, balance is the goal, but really it looks like we achieve balance because we have the sum of different extremes. I think,
Yes.
It's ebbs and flows. We'll have a period where we're working a lot, and then we're like, whoa, what are we doing? This isn't what we want to be doing. And then we'll just stop it all, and we'll just, take time in nature and, prioritize time as a family and
Yes.
yeah.
That's 1,000% us. Yes. My husband is he's kind of the gas and I'm kind of the brakes. Just by nature, he wants to do.
We need a brakes. We don't have a brakes.
I know. You totally do. Maybe the children will eventually be like, slow down, stop. That's totally true. Yeah, that would be fascinating to see what would happen when both people are like, let's see the world, let's do it all. But you've made it work in such a wonderful way. And I sort of sense this passion behind what you're saying. And I love that you're introducing that to your kids and you're not sort of stifling it. Like, well, I think sometimes we think on paper, it's best for kids we confuse rhythm and routine. And we think, they need sort of a home base and everything needs to be manageable and everything to a T and kind of scheduled out. But you guys wouldn't thrive in that environment as parents and as people. So I love that you're just letting them come along the journey and introducing them to the world. And
yeah, I think one thing that really has helped our kids is, apart from travel days, we don't have a lot of time constraints. They don't need to be anywhere at a certain time. So they feel in their normal days, they feel so much space and freedom to do things at their own pace because, we don't have an alarm or we have to, be at school at this time or anything like that. So I think they really feel they can flourish in that. And then, we actually travel very few days out of the year, like the actual days that you're in transit.
so yeah, you're just living elsewhere. You're just living life in different places and different times. And I love that.
Yeah.
That's
It's amazing how you can just change your reality so instantly by hopping on a flight.
Yes. Yes. Tell me about an experience that maybe that your children have learned from sort of integrating them into this life that you've built, whether it's work or travel or any various businesses.
Well, one of the things that my oldest has really started to do is if he wants something, he now thinks, well, I need to create it. It's really cool. Like if he wants a toy dinosaur, he'll be like, I need paper and I need crayons. I need to make a dinosaur, which is really awesome. We've tried to, we have taken that approach when there's, we want something in life that we can't find, we will create it. That's why we started the Simple Folk, our line of clothes. And he's really learned that from us, and it's quite amazing. I mean, we will give him the information too. Like if he wants something super, super specific, then we'll be like, I don't think anyone's ever thought of that before. I think you have to make it. And he's really taken it to heart and he really applies it. And I love it. I just love seeing his little entrepreneur spirit start to be ignited.
That is so wonderful. I never thought of that yes, they would sense that, oh, my parents are making the thing that they want to see in the world. So that's just how it's done. I mean, just breathing.
They always have crayons, color pencils, paper, scissors, and tape. Always.
So that's the basis. You've got it covered. They can make anything. Right. Oh, that's so perfect. I remember my parents were both public school teachers, and it was such a rude awakening when I grew up and realized that you have to work in the summer, because my parents didn't work in the summer. I don't know where I picked that up. It was like, wait a minute, dentists go to work in the summer? I will never be a dentist. This is terrible. Okay. Oh, I love that they've learned so much just by watching the way, and not even watching sort of the mechanics in the day-to-day, but knowing this is just what you do, be a creative.
Right. The other thing that I'm really in awe of my son is that he gets completely engrossed in his creative projects, like laser focused, like you've never seen. And I think we talk about it a lot, how that's what he's doing is his work and this is my work. And I love my work as much as he loves his work. And it's really great. It's this mutual understanding of, well, you don't want to be interrupted when you're focused on a project. And I feel the same way because I love what I'm doing and I really want to focus. And this is my form of play because I'm creating something. So it's really great. He has this, I mean, for a 4.5-year-old boy, I am just in awe of his ability to get in the zone for a couple of hours and refuse for anyone to interrupt him. He won't eat anything. It's super cool.
Oh, that's beautiful. So there's this mutual respect there that you're working, I'm working. Do you guys sit at like side by side desks sometimes, or
we sit on the floor and I'm at the table?
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Do you, I'm curious if you have any non-negotiable boundaries between your work and children, anything, or any kind of just micro strategies for compartmentalizing, if that's tend to how you work.
Well, one thing we do is we sign off every night, usually it's earlier, but no later than 6 p.m. and we're in Europe. So that's like the morning in the US. So things are flying in, but we just set, it's over. We have dinner, we spend time as a family, we go for a walk, we do bath time, reading, and the other thing that we are trying to make non-negotiable by having our regular check-ins is that we have enough personal space so if, for example, Lucas and I aren't exercising or meditating, that's okay for a couple of days, but only for a couple of days, so that we have these regular check-ins to see, do we have, and are we enjoying moments? Do we have the space that when something doesn't go as planned, it doesn't cause any stress because we have space, right? So really checking in with ourselves and saying, do we have the space that we want in our lives? And when can I drop everything when Benjamin has something really exciting to show me? Or does it stress me out because my day is too packed? So we're really trying to make sure that those kind of our long-term priorities. And it's often the case that what feels urgent can take over those longer term priorities. But in reality, if you're not meeting those priorities on a day-to-day basis, then your life doesn't add up to be what you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what matters at the end of the day.
So you take sort of the proactive approach in that, let me make sure I'm scheduling my days so that there is that margin and there is that space,
Right.
rather than kind of the reactive strategies of what happens when it's crazy.
Right. Right.
That's
Because
why.
what we found is that if busy suddenly creeps in, sometimes you don't notice it until it's been there for a month. So we're trying to regularly assess so that we proactively recognize it, instead of, one of us getting frustrated and then realizing it and being like, oh, it's because of this. That makes sense. So we're trying to get on the front end of it.
That makes so much sense. I remember my husband would say, like, I would react a way that isn't typical for me. And he would say, have you not been to yoga in just months? I didn't
Right.
even go regularly, but he was like, I think maybe just put that on the books for you, just like once every few weeks, maybe.
That's a really good example, because just the other day was my birthday.
Yeah.
And I said, I really want to go to a yoga class for my birthday. And then I said, wait a minute. It shouldn't have to be my birthday for me to go to a yoga class. Whoa. We need to have a conversation. Something is not the way we want it to be, right?
Yes.
Um, yeah.
Yes, which I think too is where that seasonal mentality that you mentioned comes into play, because it's really easy to think that now is forever. I think that the choices we make on a daily basis do make up our lives, but at the same time, we can pivot. And
Right.
so I've had seasons where I've felt just totally victimized by my schedule. Like I don't think I can fit anything in. I mean, I couldn't fit in the ideal, but I could
Right.
fit in something else.
Right.
So I remember switching to, I used to go to a yoga class pre-second kid, and it worked perfectly with our schedule. Our daughter was a much better sleeper. Second child comes, he doesn't sleep. We didn't sleep train. We didn't prioritize teaching him sleep because we were more concerned about the attachment as an adopted child. So anyway, I remember having to choosing to quit my yoga class. And I moved to the Y instead, because they have like free child watch. So for 2 hours, I could, bring the kids. It could be on my own term and my own schedule. And if you would have asked me in that season if I enjoyed the Y, I would have said, well, no, I don't really like treadmills. But it was something. It was something else. And it was that small step that I could make toward being a person. It wasn't my dream ideal in that season, but it worked for then. I got some energy out, and that was that. So I think too, being
Right.
flexible within those
Totally.
boundaries.
Totally. One thing that I have really come to terms with as well is that sometimes the best thing to do is to follow our inspiration. And sometimes that does mean temporarily being out of balance. But when I recognize that I'm choosing this, and that means I'm putting these other things on hold for a moment, that it's much more empowering than if I'm frustrated that I can't do it all. Right.
Yeah.
And the same with small children, I feel, when you have small children, there's just, you might be up all night 3 nights in a row. Like, you just have to roll with the punches, and you have to focus on what you do have instead of what you don't. And that's a season as well, that eventually we're going to be crying because they're sleeping at a friend's house.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm curious if you have any strategies for those seasons when you have less control over your schedule. Maybe there's a busy launch with your children's wear, or something with work elsewhere. Is there anything that do you just ensure that proactive taking care of yourself? Or is there anything that you would recommend to people that just really have a lot less control over their actual day?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm okay with a temporary state if I can see a path out in the future.
Okay.
So we recently had a really busy period, and I really struggled because I couldn't see a path out. But then we realized we needed to hire additional support for my husband at work. And even though we haven't hired the person yet, I know we're headed toward that. And so I can stomach it, because I realize that we're not accepting this as forever. This is what we need to do now, but it's a launching pad to get us to where we want to be.
Oh, that's wise. I love that. Yes, I have a friend whose husband works in the military, and he's often gone, or whether or not he's deployed. So he just works incredibly long hours, and she would go through weeks without seeing him. And she said, as long as I had something on the calendar,
Right.
like whether it's a date night or whether it's here's just a break for myself, as long as there was something on the calendar, she could maintain the peace of knowing that this isn't forever and this isn't always. And it was that path out. It was that something to look forward to, something on the horizon that I can sort of look at from far.
My husband's mom is the same way. She has to always have her next trip to visit us scheduled, or she just really feels out of sorts.
Oh, I bet. Oh, I bet. Yes, that grandchild thing, that's a real deal.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I could talk to you forever. I also know I try to keep them short because I'm like, we all have small children that need us. But yes, anything that you want to add about work and life and school and kids, or any encouragement you have for us parents?
Let's see. I think if I had any encouragement, it's the belief that we really can create our lives to be how we want them to be, and we really can have it all. We just have to believe it, and then sometimes think really creatively to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You got to get creative, and you have to kind of jerry rig a bit of things, but
Yeah, and sometimes you have to think differently, you have to think a little bit outside of the box, but there's just so many realities are possible. You just have to get clear on the one you want, and then usually the pieces will kind of present themselves to you.
oh, Jamie, you're so beautiful. Thank you for coming. Thank you for chatting with me. Yes, we will all be following your work and your life. And thank you for sharing it with us today.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to chat with you.
You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.